Awesome. I think we are good. We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's discussion in the third installment of our AI success series, How to Leverage AI for Business Success. I am your host, Justin Meredith, and I'm really excited to dig into today's topic because we are going to talk about all kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about the value of a winning online reputation, especially as we round into the new year, and we've got all kinds of new technology. We have all kinds of AI coming out. Like we just celebrated the birthday of ChatGPT. So we've got a lot to dig into, and we're going to talk about some of the challenges that maybe some of you guys are facing, or maybe some of the reasons why you might not be seeing the results that you really want online. And then we're going to give you tips and best practices on how you can use artificial intelligence to overcome those challenges. And we're going to teach you some of the different strategies that we've used and seen that work that allow you to do more with less. And allow you to see the kind of results that you want to be seeing online, and really start driving online traffic, expanding your visibility, driving higher Google reviews and higher star ratings. So we've got a lot to talk about, and we also have some cool functionalities and AI tools that we're going to show you towards the end of the discussion. So be sure to stick around for that. And to help us break all of this down, we have a very special guest who I will introduce in just a moment. But first, let me walk you through your webinar dashboard. So on the right side of your screen, you should see a kind of a lighter gray window. It has a few tabs like chat, docs, Q&A, and I think that might be it for the point of view that you guys are seeing. But if you click on that Q&A section, that is where you can submit your questions. We are going to be answering questions today. So if you have anything relating to the topic, if you just have any other kind of questions, if you just want to say hello, feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you. And we're going to try to answer a lot of the questions at the end. We're going to try to, if there's one that's pertaining to what we're talking about in the moment, we'll try to answer that as well. So please don't be afraid to ask any questions you may have. If you click on that Docs tab, that's where you'll see some related resources that we provided for you guys to continue your learning. And see some extra metrics. I think we've got a couple of guides. We have a blog, maybe a case study in there as well. So we've got some really good stuff for you guys to check out after the webinar. And on the top left side of your screen, you'll see a couple of tabs like stage, agenda, people, speakers. That is where you can learn more about us and our guest speaker, who I'm about to introduce you guys to. And feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect and continue the conversation, and really just learn more about maybe some of the challenges that you're facing, and maybe we can figure out a strategy to help you drive real, true online success. So with that being said, actually, I almost forgot. And if you can't stay here for the entire time of the webinar, don't worry. We are going to be sending an email out tomorrow with a link to the recording. And if you are wanting to tune in for the rest of it earlier than that, if you wait a few hours, the recording may process, and you might be able to jump in using the link that you use to join right now to do that. And so I think that's all that we've got for the housekeeping. So without further ado, let me introduce you to today's guest speaker, Ariel Wan. Ariel is the Director of Marketing for McKinley Companies, and I'm super excited to have you on, Ariel. We've got some great things to talk about. We've had a couple of prior conversations leading up to this discussion that have really kind of stoked the fire, and I'm excited to dig into this stuff with you today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. I'm happy it's Friday Eve. It's a great day. Excited to dig into some of the stuff that we've got. Hello to everybody here. I know that we've got some people tuning in from all over the place. I know we've got a strong Australian presence right now, and so if you're tuning in from Australia or the UK, hello to you. It's great to see you guys, and we hope to hear from you soon. So let's go ahead and start digging into this. And I think the best place to start is first to understand what the value of a winning online presence is and what it does for a business. And so, Ariel, from your perspective, before we really dig into all this, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and McKinley Companies and what you guys do?
Yeah, so my name is Ariel. I'm the Director of Marketing here at McKinley Companies, and McKinley is a multifamily. We are owner and operator of all of these multifamily apartments in Michigan and Florida, which is not bad for when I need to go to Florida during the wintertime and I can escape the winter for a little bit. So that's nice. But my role is to manage the marketing for all 60 of our properties, which includes being in Michigan and also being in Florida. So you can imagine the challenges that we might have or come across, especially since my marketing team is a team of 3. Actually, it's just me and one other person that manages a lot of our online presence and reputation. So, for us, it's really important to make sure that our online presence is accurate, and that we're always on top of it, because people are searching for us online, and we are very location based because we're talking about apartments. So you want to know exactly where we are. You want to be able to find us when you search for us. You want to be able to make sure that all of the information is accurate and most up to date. Don't you hate it when you go to a Google location and it says it's open, you show up and it's actually closed? Just these little important things.
Yeah, and those little important things can really add up, and they add up in a lot of different ways, and they can carry an impact in a lot of different ways. And so, like, if you receive reviews, a lot of the reviews that people are reading will have an impact on their buying decisions. In a survey that we've done here at Birdeye, we see that 78% of the respondents were saying that they are unlikely to select a local business or service with a poor online reputation. And it kind of goes back to what you were just saying about the incorrect hours. That stuff can be so frustrating, and it can take one little thing like that to deter a customer. And so when it comes to your online presence and trying to develop a winning one that's consistent and it brings people in, what are some of the important factors of that you guys focus on? Is there where's the area of focus that you guys have? I mean, I know with 60 different locations and 60 different markets. And so even if you're in the United States or if you're in a different country, and you've got locations all over the place, each one of those locations has its own unique little market. And so what are some of the ways that you guys manage your online reputation? Like what are some of the aspects of that when it comes to your listings or anything like that?
Yeah, so I guess like kind of starting from the beginning of just kind of why we realized or when we realized we needed to take control and manage all of our listings. It was a couple of years ago, and we just really treated it like it was just a listing that the internet has provided for us. But we managed our own listings, but we didn't really like put effort into it. We just owned it basically, so no one else can claim it. And then we were, noticing that it's really important to be engaged in your listings, especially like if someone was writing reviews. Like, you always want to respond to reviews, whether they're positive or negative. And in the past, we would just be collecting essentially negative reviews, because honestly, like, when you're talking about living in an apartment for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, if you're happy, you're just like, I'm happy, I'm moving on with my life. But if something happens that's that was a little bit difficult, or you did not like, or you were really, really mad, and that's when you write a negative review. And so we noticed that we would get reviews every once in a while, and they were always negative. So then when someone searches for a location and then sees our average rating is like a 1-star or a 2-star, that will negatively affect our business, even when housing markets are tough. You can only rent, you can't buy houses. There's a shortage of housing, but people are still going to care about your ratings because they're worried, like, is this going to be a good place for me to live? If I have any issues, are they going to be responsive? And so if they look for us online and they see a low star rating and they see that no one's responding to reviews, that's like a really big negative.
Yeah. And I feel like it's unique in your industry specifically, because when people are searching for their place to live, like, that's where they're going to be the majority of their time. That's where they're going to sleep. That's where they're going to have, kids running around. It's a very, very important decision. I mean, it's like essentially for the next year of your life, like, where are you going to base yourself? And so when customers or clients and residents are going through that process, the review aspect is massively important. So like we see that, on here we have a stat that says 68% of the time consumers check online reviews before engaging with a local business. I wouldn't be surprised if in this industry it was even higher. because
Mhm.
that, it's something that's going to be such a large part of their life for the next year. They want to know what existing residents say about it, and they want to know what problems are there if they're going into it, or what are the things that they can look forward to. So having that online reputation, especially in this residential side of it, is massively, massively important. Now, when it comes to your online visibility and your online reputation and how those two play together, have you noticed that your online reputation has an impact on your search ranking, maybe compared, from different locations where you have a stronger presence in one versus another? Have you noticed any sort of variance in the performance of those locations depending on their
Um,
reputation?
yeah, I think there's a lot of factors on what ultimately ranks your location higher than others in
Mhm.
Google results or Maps results. But definitely having higher ratings and more ratings, and frequently people are writing reviews
Mhm.
because it's that fresh content that
Yep.
the search engines love. So it's not only just okay, now we're on top of it, we're responding to reviews, but it's generating, it's getting new reviews, getting constant reviews, consistent reviews, whether they be positive or negative, preferably positive. But seeing that work, I actually pulled up a report yesterday that showed our how many reviews we received in 2022, and then how many reviews we received every month in 2023. And in 2022, when we weren't really actively working on this, we would get like maybe an average between like 30 to 60 reviews every month. And then it wasn't until last year that we decided to really ramp it up on this reputation thing. And then we, ran a contest. So all of a sudden, like December, there was like 300 reviews. And then you look at it this year, we didn't do any contests. We just basically built that muscle and
Mhm.
trained our staff to request reviews, and we are always responding to reviews. And now we're averaging like 150 every month
Wow.
in total across all of our properties.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so I see we just got a quick question here. Is there a way to close the right window so the stage looks bigger? Sorry, Xavier, I'm not sure if we have that capability here to help expand those slides. Maybe try, I would recommend maybe maximizing your window, or trying to drag it as you can, but I don't think we do have the ability to collapse this side tab here for you. So my apologies. So Ariel, let's talk. So you mentioned there's a lot of different factors that can play into your search ranking. And as we've kind of touched on, there's a lot of different things that go on in the mind of a consumer when they're reading reviews, when they're writing a review, whether they're emotionally charged and they are trying to vent. There's a lot of things that go on. And the benefits of a strong online presence can be massive. It could improve your search ranking. You could show up on that local map pack, which can generate 70% of all the traffic that happens when someone searches, a local search like that. There's a lot there, but if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And so there's definitely some challenges that come with consistently building and managing a strong online presence. So can you talk to us a little bit about that, and maybe some of the challenges that you guys have faced, or maybe what other people and businesses maybe facing?
Yeah, I think, once we really started prioritizing our, reputation management and getting more reviews, we entered a new challenge, which is now we're getting way more reviews, and there's still two of us to respond to these reviews. So we had to look for tools that could help us basically do this faster and more efficient with our time, because a lot of times we might be responding to 137 positive
Mhm.
reviews. Sometimes there are some really lengthy negative reviews, and whenever we receive negative reviews, if we're able to, we have to do a little extra detective work
Mhm.
on it, to find out who this person is. If they have their name on their review, we're able to see if they're a resident. And if they're a resident, we then open up a ticket separately to actually resolve the problem that they are writing a review about. Because we've noticed that when people write negative reviews for our properties, if they're a current resident, it's like a current problem that they're having, and that if we are able to contact them because we noticed the review immediately, we can get it resolved pretty quickly, and then that will be a positive outcome, and we could essentially recover their
Mhm.
their experience. So it's very important that, you know, because we decided to make this a priority, responding quickly is very important. And so if we're getting hundreds of reviews, we got to respond to them. And so we've worked with, that's actually how we engage with Birdeye, because we were looking to see how we can manage our reputation and reviews. And, you know, we use different tools to kind of make it more efficient for us.
Yeah, definitely. And when we've worked with some of these companies like you guys that have a ton of locations, we notice that as the more locations you have, the bigger the challenges grow and they compound. Because if you think about wanting to make sure that you can manage all of your different listings, so you want to make sure that you have your Google business profile in place. You want to make sure your Bing, your Apple Maps, your apartments.com, for example, or any website where your business is listed, there could be, a place for your business information to live. And so when you're trying to manage all of that, if you have 100 different locations, each one of those locations could have 6 or 7 different platforms that it lives on. And so that's 600 or 700 different locations or business, listing sites that you have to keep an eye on. And so it quickly becomes a very overwhelming and difficult thing to manage. And so that's what we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about how you can overcome that challenge and bring all of that stuff together using artificial intelligence. And so, when it comes to AI and being able to use this technology to help manage all of these different things, it's really important to remember to use it as a tool and not a crutch. And so we're going to dig into some of the different ways that AI can be used to overcome these challenges. And we're going to first talk about its role. Where does AI fit when it comes to your online reputation? And where does AI fit when it comes to building a successful presence that actually attracts people, and it allows you to not just manage it, but grow and improve and make it better over time. And so I see we have another question here that I want to get to. So would a business that has been running for years without a focus on reviews be able to bounce back? They've got 4 years with not many reviews. Yes, it's never too late to start generating and developing an online reputation. And the fact that you're here you're joining and you're trying to learn is absolutely incredible. And so it is definitely never too late. The only thing you have to do is just start. And so hopefully with some of the stuff that we're going to go through, we can kind of give you the tools to do that. So let's quickly cover the role of AI and go over some of the different ways that maybe it could be used. And so Ariel, in what ways has AI been a game changer for you guys? If it is, what are some of the different ways that you guys are using it to kind of help boost the business?
Oh my gosh, so many. And I know people in this webinar are like, when are we going to get to the good stuff? I think it was really important to talk about the challenges and the reasons why we were doing what we were doing prior. And then I kind of like foreshadowed a little bit. It's like, we're getting so many reviews and they're a mix of positive and negative reviews. So how is this small little marketing department able to do this on top of all the other tasks that we have to work on, major projects? So, AI for normal use has exploded in just this year. And so what have we done with AI for reviews and reputation? We've implemented AI so that it can help us basically learn the tone when we are writing review responses. And once it's learned our tone, it basically, I think of AI, and you can think of it like this too, AI is your intern. So your intern is basically doing all this legwork, drafting up a response to the review, and then you review it, make your little edits to it. If you're like, oh, this is a little too much, or like, oh, we need to add a little bit more to this review. And then you just kind of edit it real quick and you just hit reply and it's done. So instead of you sitting there and thinking, because you have to do a lot of brain processing of how you want to respond to a review, you want to acknowledge, that whatever they wrote about it, whatever issue it is, you want to acknowledge it, you want to apologize, and then you want to say what the next step is, whether it's we'll contact you or can you contact us, so when you write the review, you want to be empathetic. There's a lot of things in writing a good response review. So when you have your intern do it for you, your intern does all the legwork. You make minor edits. Sometimes intern gets it knocks it out of the park 100%. And you're just like, reply, 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 reply. And so that's how we're using AI to help respond to reviews. Another way that we are using AI is for our kind of our executive summary when we present our monthly reputation to our operations team, who are the actual like leasing people who these reviews are really writing about. We use AI to basically comb through all of our reviews, and it can pull in using like natural language what are the main topics that are positive. So, it's like great staff, quick maintenance, like beautiful grounds. And then it'll be like, what were the negative, top categories of negative comments? And it's like, ironically, staff, maintenance. So you can really catch it on a high level, because if you think about it, after every month, you want to know how you guys have been doing, your pulse on it. It's really hard to check because you're looking through 100 reviews. Or I'm manually, like this is what we did before AI. I manually read the reviews and put out like keywords of like, what was this mainly about? And now AI can basically just do that for me, and it can do it every day. I can check the pulse on how we're doing weekly, daily, monthly. And so it just really, really allowed me time to do everything else, or to even dig in deeper on this information.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's a great point, is that it allows you to do more with less. And so, if you are manually responding to reviews, for example, and let's say you're a larger business and you've got a lot of different locations, or maybe you're just in the industry where you receive a lot of reviews daily. When, you're responding to those reviews, it may take 30 seconds, a minute, maybe even longer. If it's a negative review, you need to read it and you need to inspect it and stuff. But let's say you get 50 reviews a day across all your locations. So like if you have 50 locations and you get one review a day, that's still an hour of your time that you're spending just trying to read and respond to reviews. And it can definitely become a tedious, monotonous task that doesn't really require a ton of brain power, but it still requires time. And so it's definitely, one of those, and that responding to reviews is a great use case for it. And there's all kinds of different ones that we're going to cover. And so there's different ways that you can use it, but I think that example you gave of responding to reviews is perfect, because it really does kind of capture the essence of being able to do more with less. And so it looks like we got a couple of more questions. It looks like you can expand your screen to the slides fully. On the bottom right side of like the slide, if you hover over it, something will pop up, and it looks like there could be a full screen button there. Thank you guys for letting me know. I'm used to the back end side where I'm on the camera.
But so then you're not in the fun Q&A, which is where all the party's at.
Exactly. And so we got some other good questions here. We've got somebody asking, what tool do you use for writing reviews? I would imagine we will have one that we'll be talking about shortly. But generally, when encouraging people to leave a review, where do you generally encourage people to leave a review, Ariel?
Google.
Always
Google. Yeah. And mainly just because it's the largest website where everyone's on, like the effort ratio of, like we do post it on Yelp, like, no, we're going to post it on Google. Everyone does Google searches. The Google business profile shows up right there on the right. Someone else had asked, how do I measure my claims that making this effort, putting all this effort into Google business profiles or reviews is worth it? And it absolutely is. Number one thing you always do as a marketer to make sure if one of your marketing tactics is working or not is to track it. So we have tracking sources, a specific number that we use to track Google business profile calls, specific website URL that has the right tracking code on it. So we are able to see through a customer cycle that they hit us on Google business profiles or Google Maps. And then this person ultimately, came in for a visit, had an application, and then ended up in leases. And so the Google business profile is actually like our most valuable, besides like after our website, actual like organic website traffic, Google business profile is like our number 2 best converter for leads to leases.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we're gonna here in a little bit, we're actually going to showcase some of the ways that you can use AI to help with that tracking and that monitoring and really getting valuable data that shows it's working, but also it shows the weak spots in where maybe your customers are feeling that you could improve, or maybe you can find some of the strengths that you're doing well in that you can capitalize on. So we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and dig into some of our tips on how to actually do this. And so there's all kinds of different use cases that we're going to cover here. And so I think the first one that I want to start with is generating reviews and how to use AI to help do that. And the thing that you can do, sorry, managing slides here. There we go. So to generate more reviews, you can use AI. And so Ariel, how are you guys doing that? Is there any sort of automation that you've put in place when it comes to requesting reviews?
So for requesting reviews, we haven't set up automation yet because right when we were working with Birdeye, Birdeye has an integration with one of the biggest property management system softwares called Birdeye, and we were in the middle of transitioning to that software, so we couldn't do the automatic connection. But now that we are almost done with the transition, I cannot wait. And neither can our sales teams, because we spent a whole year getting people out of their comfort zones to, like, face to face, with rapport, ask people for reviews. And everyone knows it's a little uncomfortable, depending on the type of person, to be like, hey, can you write me a review? Can you write a review because you had a great time? It's a little uncomfortable. So they cannot wait for something automated to happen where, for example, after someone completes a maintenance request, usually when a maintenance request is completed, you're pretty happy that it was completed. So that's when an automation would happen, and they would get an email or they would get a text message from Birdeye that says, like, how was your experience? And they can, rate how they did. And then it'll ask them if it's a positive, to write it on Google. If it's a negative, it gives them the option to just contact us directly. So it saves them from going to Google and writing a negative review. Because what people do when they write reviews is they just most people want to be heard. Some people just want to complain. And you can tell who wants results and who just wants to complain, because the people who want to get something fixed, they'll respond, they'll reply, they will make the effort to get their problem resolved more than to, like, spite our company by writing a negative review.
Yeah. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier, where, you get a lot of, the reviews that you do get from people, under their own volition or their own willpower, who aren't being requested. Like, a lot of times those emotionally charged people who are leaving a review to vent. And the best way to combat that is with positive reviews, and a lot of them. And the best way to increase your chances of receiving a review is to make sure that you're asking all of your customers for a review. It's just a numbers game at that point. And so we've done some studies here with our data here at Birdeye, and we found that 12% of customers who will leave a review every single time that they're asked, and 35% of them will leave a review at least half the time. And so when you have those numbers, it's essentially just a quantity game at that point. And so if you can ensure that every single customer is getting a review request, you're maximizing your chances of receiving a positive review. And that's the best way that you can combat like a one star review can hurt your average star rating. So the best way to help protect your average is by having a lot of 5-star reviews. It also helps kind of bury the negativity, because you can't just get a negative review deleted off of Google. There are a couple of things that you can do, such as responding to it, which we'll talk about here in a second. But really, it's overpowering your profile with a ton of positive reviews and ratings to help protect your star average, and really kind of help the potential customers see, like, okay, there's a lot of people here who really do enjoy this business and they trust this business, and I think I can too. Now, when somebody does leave a review, what's the next step? What should you do as a business? And a lot of people, and I've heard this before, is they will leave, like, for example, if they receive a negative review, they want to leave it alone. And their thought process is, if I leave it alone, that gives it less light, less showing. If I put attention to it, more people will see it, and I don't want more people to see this negative review. But in reality, that is not the way to do it. If you just let a negative review go unattended, that means it's just this negative comment about your business that's floating by itself in the wind on the internet without any context. And so what you really want to make sure you do is respond to reviews. So Ariel, what are you talked a little bit about how you can automate some of those responses using AI. But what about the importance of responding to reviews? And when you start to receive a lot of them, how does AI really help kind of keep up with that?
Yeah, responding in the right tone is probably the second most important after just responding. Maybe it's the first, because if you respond negatively,
true.
you probably were better not responding. So I'd probably say the first thing is tone, and the second thing is to actually respond to the review. So, someone had asked in the Q&A, like, is this something that they can even do if they've never done anything with reviews, and or they've never done anything and all the reviews are negative? And the answer is yes, absolutely. And that's exactly what we did here at McKinley, was that we never responded to reviews. We never even looked. We never cared, because we were still renting apartments. Like, it never was at a point where it was like, oh no, business is hurting. What do we do? But when I came on board at McKinley, I was just like, reputation is so important. And on more than just like sales, like, it has SEO implications. And so that's when we really started working on it. And so, multifamily housing, the number one thing that really is most important is customer service. It's, resident satisfaction. So when residents are unsatisfied, they usually will try to reach us directly, whether it's contacting leasing office, contacting someone. Their last thing they want to do is write a negative review or write a review online, because then it really feels like it's going into the ether. And so when someone does write a review, to me, I know that that's already their last ditch effort. They have no other avenue. They've tried going through the right channels, and they're just like, I'm getting nowhere. I'm writing a review to let everyone else know about my experience. So responding to that review, understanding where they're coming from, that they're doing this not because they're bored, but because they tried solving it another way, it just didn't happen. And so responding empathetically, acknowledging exactly their singular or multiple issues, and then letting them know, to expect a call, or if we don't know who they are, because, it's a Google account. Some people create Google accounts with their actual name. Some people use, handles. And so if it's someone that I can't figure out immediately who it is by searching in our database, then I ask them to email us back using, like a custom email that we use specifically for review reputation emails. And we've done that enough that now we're getting people who were about to write a negative review, and then they saw that we respond to other reviews and we leave this email, they'll start emailing us and be like, hey, I saw this email on other replies. I just want to give this a try to see if you can help me with my problem. And that is great. That's like why you want to respond to reviews, because consumers are smart. When you make a choice on where you want to go for dinner, you look at reviews, but that like people have their own tastes. So you want to see like the reviews of people that like, this is something that I would really care about. And when you're looking for a home and you see negative reviews, you can understand, like, some people might need more than others. But you read the reviews, and if you see a few negative reviews, a few positive reviews, I think what's more important as a consumer is that you see that the negative reviews are being responded to. Because if you see that they're being responded to in a timely way, and the response is empathetic, has the right tone, it makes you feel positive about this company, even though the review you're reading is a negative review.
Yeah, and that plays such a big role in the mind of the potential consumer. And you just, how you respond, the speed at which you do respond, and how quickly you do, it shows how closely you are paying attention. And if you've got all kinds of different locations and you've got reviews coming in from all over the place, from all kinds of different platforms, it doesn't even have to just be Google. It can also be Facebook. I see we have a question here. Will a Facebook fan page be a good place to ask to give us a review? And it is. And so, real quick with Birdeye, whenever you do send a review request, you can have Google, Facebook. We even have a Birdeye microsite that you can have people leave reviews on that kind of compiles everything. And then you can even have a contact us directly button that people can click on to go and leave direct feedback. And especially if it's negative, then it just keeps it from showing up online. Now, let's keep moving. I know we've got a lot to get to. And the next tip that we have is when it comes to managing your listings, optimizing for SEO. And it's really about how do you get onto that first page of Google? How do you get into that local map pack? I see we had a question earlier where they were asking about the 70% of search volume goes to the local Google business map. When I was saying that statistic, I was referring to the percentage of traffic that goes to the local map pack whenever someone conducts a local search. So it could be lawn mowing service, North Austin, Texas, or anything like that. And normally whenever someone searches for a local business or they do a local search, that local map pack gets a strong majority of the traffic. And that's really kind of the golden place to be. It's like prime internet real estate. And that's really where you want to be. And if you want to be there, you have to have an optimized Google business profile. And what that means is having accurate information. So Ariel, when it comes to your Google business profile and optimizing for SEO in that sense with your listings, what are some of the things that are important? And what are some of the ways that maybe you can leverage AI to help make that easier, especially as you acquire a bunch of locations and you have a lot to manage?
Yeah, so I would say that the biggest, we all know that it's really important to fill all this out, to put in the right keywords, to make sure your description is optimized. But who's got that time to prioritize it right now? Guess what? We have a new intern. This intern's great. So you can use the AI to help you generate descriptions. They can scrape your website, or you can copy and paste existing copy, and then it can either make it better for you, or it could just generate something from scratch. And so your intern's done a lot of the work. Your intern knows everything that's happening in the internet. So the intern will scour through the internet of what the best keywords are to use that's most optimized for SEO. And that's just awesome, because prior to this tool, I was in a digital marketing agency. I had to create all these different phrases in an Excel spreadsheet. I got to concatenate them. I had to put in keyword planner to see what the most high search volume keywords are, make sure I use those keywords. Like, that's a lot of work. I can't do that for every single property, every single description. So having AI help with that, it just saves hours of time, and you would be able to do something that you probably couldn't get to for a while because you have this awesome intern that helps start the work for you. And all you need to do is just kind of edit it, pare it down a little bit, and then you're good to go. And then you can copy it and repurpose it on your website and social media. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. And I was just thinking earlier, the phrase keyword research still gives me chills to think about whenever I just
it's a little triggering.
Yeah. And on the other side of it too, it does, your reviews can also play a part, and it's not your review responses. And so if you're responding to a review, don't try to keyword stuff your review responses, but the reviews themselves can be triggered. So like if you were to search best burger near me, and you look at that local map pack, you can see some of the businesses there. They'll have a couple of like reviews that are featured, and it's kind of like half the review. It's hard to explain, but like if you do it, you'll see it. You'll see that they'll have a review with the word burger bolded, and that just shows you like, hey, this is a business where the customers are talking about the best burger or whatever it may be. And so there's a lot of different aspects to your listings and your online presence that can impact your SEO in that way. And so it's important to always be mindful of that. And when you, in order to be mindful of that, especially when you have 5 different profiles for every single location and you have 100 locations, it's really difficult. And so going back to what you were saying, Ariel, is having that intern who can kind of at least keep being like an eagle eye and keep everything in sight and monitor those things and let you know if a negative review is coming in, or creating these descriptions that are localized, to whatever, the specific location that's in Sydney, Australia, or Orlando, Florida. What are the terms and the keywords that people are using there? You can use AI to help research that a lot easier than you could in the past. So
Mhm.
let's continue moving. And we've talked about your Google presence. We've talked about your reviews and the different listings on these different places. And we've talked briefly about Facebook, but let's talk more broadly about social media management and how you can leverage AI to create a social media presence that can help attract more customers and clients.
Right.
Ariel, we've talked a little bit about this in our pre-show discussion, but when it comes to social media management, what is your approach, and where do you think AI could play a role when it comes to social media?
Yeah. With social media, it's always about that content, it's about that copy. And so, using AI, your intern can generate you the copy. It can generate you ideas for what to post about. As like a social marketing person, it's always about like, all right, what are we going to post today? What are we going to post on Tuesday? What are we going to post on Thursday? And writing all this up, coming up with all of this, it's just so much time. If you're working on a really lean team, or it's just using AI to help with content copy. They include hashtags, they include emojis. You don't have to be hip and cool. Your intern is hip and cool and knows what all the cool kids are saying these days, and they'll include the appropriate emojis and hashtags. And you just need to make sure it's up to your brand standards. You make minor edits, and then you can publish it straight from whatever publishing tool you're using. If you're directly in Facebook, you can open up, an instance of ChatGPT and then copy and paste. Or like the screenshot here is what it looks like in Birdeye social, and then that AI generation button is like right in there, and you can publish it to multiple properties if you have it, or you can just do it one at a time. It's really up to you, but it's a using AI to help with it. Right now, AI and images is still a little weird in my opinion. Depending on what kind of image I'm looking for, I may or may not use AI. AI can create original graphics for you, but it really depends. They're very good on like certain styles, but we use a lot of photography and real people,
Yeah.
and so we don't use AI to generate any images of real people because they don't understand hands.
Yeah, they really don't. It seems they can't get the fingers right.
Yeah.
And that's great. And it's similar to really going back to the review responses and the amount of time it takes to read and process the the review and figure out what you want to say. It does take time to think about all the different ways that you can, write a social caption and the different, the verbiage and the messaging and all of that stuff. It does take a lot of time to think about that creatively because you want it to be engaging. It has to be concise, and there's only so much that you can really talk about. But we also know that the life shelf of a social media post is not very long. And so if you want to have a consistent social media presence, you have to be posting consistently. And when you have a lot of different locations and every location's in a different place, it's in a different city or a state or region of the country, there's a lot of different nuances that come with that. And so being able to think of that creatively consistently every day, multiple times a day, can be really difficult. And so leveraging AI to help, like, hey, tomorrow is or let's say later this month we have the new year, but we want to make sure that we can have it a little bit localized to each of our different locations. Like, hey, can we have AI create a New Year's Eve post that kind of talks about the local area, and it makes the post relate to whatever's going on in that specific location. And you can do that. You just have to give it the locations, and it'll give you a post for all those different ones, versus you having to go through individually one by one, maybe even having to Google what's going on in that area at that time. There's a lot of time that can go into it. And so, when it comes to just being able to write captions for you, it's an absolute game changer. Now,
Yes.
the next thing that I want to talk about, and we've talked about this briefly, but it goes back to the data, and it goes back to the reports. And one of the most important things when it comes to leveraging AI is data. And it's really also, it's the data that it gives you is only as good as the data that it receives. So garbage in, garbage out. So when it comes to having a properly functioning, optimized, accurate AI, use case, I guess is the best way to say that. You really want to be, on top of what's going on in your analytics, and what are you seeing, and what can we do with what we have. And there's a lot of different ways that you can leverage AI to help with that. And so it could be, you've talked a little bit about it with similarly to the sentiment analysis or identifying keywords across hundreds of reviews, or maybe it's maybe you launch a lot of surveys. And so you've got 500 surveys that all have 10 or 15 questions in them. And these customers took the time to answer it, but like trying to go through them one at a time and try to decipher what all of these mean in the big picture of how does this look as a whole is really difficult. And so when you can have AI that can just scan through everything, identify the keywords, but it understands the nuance. And that was the big development that's been happening over the past years. Now it kind of can start to sense what was the intent behind what was written, what was the feeling or the motivation, not just what are the actual words that are being typed, but how do those words come across. And now we're able to actually decipher that with AI, and it can be a super, super powerful tool for you when you can have it set up correctly and it's monitoring things correctly. So can you tell us a little bit more, Ariel, about how AI plays a role in your analytics, your data, your reporting, and kind of how you're monitoring everything?
Yeah, so I did kind of briefly mention this earlier, which was, that AI can help me essentially create executive summaries and executive reports. I was part of the beta testing for doing the AI reporting in Birdeye, and I just kept saying like, this is the thing that your C-suites will love. That will be like approved to purchase, because you're spending all this money, effort, time into sending out reviews, putting out your best SEO, doing your social media. All of it is to increase your ranking, increase your presence online for your business. And so you did all the great things. Now, like, how do you show? It's always really hard to show, looking back, show your results, like that this actually had direct effect to, X and Y. And the AI, the implementation of AI in reporting is really cool, because basically all that brain power that you don't have the time for or energy for, your intern reads reports all day. And it can analyze sentiment, it'll analyze the text, it can put together all the reporting for you of when you want it, what do you want it to say, and then after it puts the report to you, you can generate a summary from it. You can look at it at a high level, like an actual useful dashboard of how you're doing in real time, or if you want to look at a month ago or a year ago. But it's basically like anything you imagine, your intern can do it for you. And I'm really excited, and I hope we have enough time that we can show you the actual tool and how it's so easy to use.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we should go ahead and jump into that. It's like you're reading my mind, Dan. So Dan just asked, can you demo AI in real time so we can see how it works? Well, let's go ahead and bring our colleague Abhishek Iyer to the stage. Abhishek, if you can jump in, there you are. Abhishek is a senior product marketing manager for us here at Birdeye, and he's been kind of our AI guru through this past year and beyond. And Abhishek, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining us. Excited to see what you've got for us.
Always a pleasure. And incidentally, if you look at it, my initials are also AI, so I might.
That's awesome. Honestly, I've never noticed that. That's great. Awesome. Well, Abhishek, if you want to, let me see. I might need to stop sharing my screen here. If you can go ahead and give us a little demo of the AI of our Birdeye reports, and maybe some of the AI features that we've got. I think that
absolutely. So let me talk about reporting first. I think it's a good segue from where Ariel left off in terms of AI powered insight. So I think we've been talking about generative AI so far, and while that is amazing, I think one of the biggest capabilities that AI has is its ability to extract meaningful, relevant insights from reams of data. And as you can see here, there are like 15,000 odd reviews across God knows how many locations, and you want to make sure that you have the right insights to drive meaningful changes across channels, across locations. So with that in mind, we have been investing in AI since the past 2 quarters. AI has always been a part of Birdeye's DNA, and we have made rapid strides in AI over the past year or so. And last quarter, if some of you folks remember, we launched Birdeye, which was possibly the biggest upgrade to the Birdeye platform in quite some time. And this time around, we have incorporated AI to power our reporting capabilities. So there is a lot of stuff happening here. So as you can see, we have designed Birdeye reports with multi-location businesses such as McKinsey companies in mind, and that's the reason why we humbly requested Ariel to be a part of the testing process. And inputs from Ariel and some of our other customers have helped us shape the product and turn it into what it is today. So we have designed reports to offer you granular insights across the entire customer journey, from search to sold to advocacy. So as you can see, you will have insights across listings, reviews, social, inbox, surveys, ticketing. So right from the time they are a prospect to the time they are a customer and they decide to stay with you for the lifetime, you have insights on every step of the customer journey. But the coolest feature, according to me, is something that Ariel alluded to, which is a DIY dashboard. So while the depth and the breadth of the reports we have here is amazing, we have over 100 reports. It could soon be 200 or even 500, who knows? But it is really not the ideal use of anyone's time going into each and every one of those reports every time you log into the platform, right? And that's where these DIY dashboards come into the picture. So let me quickly build one for you and show it to you. I think it's a show don't tell kind of a feature anyway. So Ariel talked about how some CEOs will love a dashboard like this. So let me build one on the fly. So say, for example, I am an online reputation management director at a hypothetical multi-location company, and I want to make sure that my CEO or my CMO is aware of all the wonderful work that I'm doing. All I have to do is click here, add my first report. So add either here or the tab that you saw above. Let me add my first report here. So this is reviews and ratings over time. I can give it my own name as well. I have the ability to change the form factor the way I want. Let me stick with this one for now. I have some very neat filter and compare options as well. So say, for example, I want to look at my performance for this current year, which is 2023. And I am interested only in Google because, as we all know, Google is the undisputed king. Let me look at it by a monthly frequency. I can change the frequency the way I want. And the most beautiful thing is I can also compare this data between two locations or between time ranges. So say, for example, I want to look at the same data for last year. I can do that as well. Let me make it easy for my CMO or a CEO and give them a quarterly view. And I hit save. And there you go. The first report is added to my dashboard. It's very easy. I can resize it. I can drag and drop it anywhere I want. It's really neat. Now, along with reviews, maybe, I also want to show my CEO how my listings are performing. I have been asking for a lot of resources to maintain my listings across a bunch of locations. So I need to show something in return. So let me show my CMO the user actions, which is basically the number of website visits, directions, or calls that I get from my Google profile. I hit save. Let me place this report right next to review so that it's available there. And lastly, I think my CEO might also be interested in understanding what all of these results, or what all of these efforts are resulting in, right? And one good way to measure the impact of your online reputation management performance is the number of inbound messages you get from your customers. So let me see how I'm doing on that front. So let me look at my messages received over time. Let me go with a line chart this time around, and it's as simple as that. Now I've added these reports here. I hit save, and every time I log into Birdeye, these three metrics will be here waiting to welcome me, and they will be updated every time I refresh or every time I log in. So I don't have to like go into individual reports and look at the data each and every time. It's available here. And how do I share it with my CEO? It's pretty simple. I can email him. So I can do it either here or, sorry, hold on. Or I can hit the share icon. I can not only share it with specific users, I can also share it with specific teams. So maybe I want to send it to my marketing team celebrating their success, or maybe I want to send it to my ops team if some issues are cropping up. Maybe I want to also share it with specific locations if I want to hold them to the right standards, for example. So I can do all of those things. For this particular example, let me share it with my CEO. So let's pretend that Justin is my CEO in this case. And it's as easy as that. I mean,
Wow.
it's very easy for you to, track the metrics that matter to you the most. In, I think, a matter of 3 minutes, I was able to build this dashboard from the scratch and share it with my CEO. And that's how easy reporting should be. You should not spend like hours at a stretch on just reporting, because we all understand that while data is important, that's not your core job, right? I mean, your core
Mhm.
job should be to improve your customer experience, uh, drive revenue, offer great service, things like that. And our job is to make sure that, all the grunt work behind, managing, ingesting, and reporting data is taken away from you. And that's something that we have tried to do with uh, the new AI powered Birdeye reports.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for showing us that. And you're exactly right. Like you should be leveraging the data and using it, as opposed to spending all your time in Excel sheets or trying to figure out like, okay, can I trust what this is saying because this other thing is saying something different. There's a lot of power in having customizable, easy to maneuver data that you can fit for your specific needs and purposes. And this is and Abhishek, we have a question here that you might be able to help us answer. But when it comes to connecting a business to the Birdeye account and getting these types of AI functionalities, whether it's with the reports, the review responses, the review requests, the social media, because I know that with our social media tool, you can have the AI integrated in, so you can create the captions as well as the images right in the Birdeye dashboard, which is insane. And same thing with managing your requests, as well as responding to company emails or Facebook messages, Instagram messages, reviews, surveys. You can do all of that within the Birdeye dashboard. But what's the process for getting it all hooked up? Is that something that takes? What does that process normally involve?
So AI is built into the Birdeye platform. So anyone who signs up with us, our onboarding team is amazing. I mean, they can get you up and running in a matter of couple of days, and you get access to all of these tools right out of the box. So there is no integration, no uplifting from your IT teams or any other teams. And Ariel, I hope this was your experience as well. You didn't have to do a lot of running around, because I know that, we've built Birdeye as a platform with the end user in mind. So it's really, really easy to set up.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Like I like to stay in one software as much as possible. My honest review of the generative AI that's in Birdeye is it's really good. There are some tweaks that could be better, which is why I also still keep an instance of ChatGPT open. But it's like your intern's good. You have a good intern.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things that I think as this technology evolves, as we start to get more familiar with AI and how it works, I think this is one of those things that just continuously gets better and it learns more. And so that's going to be something that we're going to be keeping an eye on and seeing how some of this stuff is advancing. It feels like every day I log into Twitter and there's something new coming out and some sort of new update of some crazy new functionality. Like I was just watching one where it's not like there's an engine now that can create images every like 10 milliseconds, which is just crazy because that's not far off from being able to just create AI video. And so, you know, for businesses, you might be able to create some really cool content for your social and for your website that you would never be able to have been able to do before. But I know that we are nearing the end of our time, so I want to go ahead and make sure that we go through some of these final takeaways, and make sure that we've got everything that we make sure that we covered everything, and then see if there's any questions. Let me see if I can go back. Abhishek, are you able to unshare?
Oh, sorry.
Your screen. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Awesome. So I'll quickly run through these final takeaways. A strong online presence improves visibility and develops trust with both customers and Google. And maintaining a strong online presence can be a little bit overwhelming, especially as you get more locations and you've got more platforms and more listings places and all these different areas where your web presence lives. It can be difficult to manage, especially as that number increases. So you can leverage AI to help, you know, your AI assist, your intern, to help you manage and take care of some of these tedious tasks and cut down on all the time on some of this manual work, as well as just using it to you know, really optimize some of your SEO stuff and create, you know, real, more human-like engagements with your customers. And, you know, as just a reminder, with a platform like Birdeye, this is something that we're trying to enable this across the board. And so our goal is to allow you to basically run your entire online presentation, no matter how, or your entire online presence across the web, no matter how many locations you have. If you have 200 locations, you can manage every Google business profile, every social media site, everything that you'll need. So, but with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will, you'll receive a link to the recording. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us at hello@birdeye.com. Thank you, Ariel, so much for joining us. And thank you, Abhishek, for jumping on and showing us some of the cool new features that are out. It's one of our biggest updates ever. I'm excited to see some more people use it and see what kind of reports that they're creating. But again, I really appreciate you guys giving your time for everybody here today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. With that being said, goodbye, everybody. Don't forget to check out the related content in the doc section. We've got some great webinars and extra guides. We have a webinar that I put in there that shows you a little bit more hands-on, like how do you write a good prompt. And so be sure to check that out. But until next time, we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.